So two division cruiserweight and heavyweight undisputed champion. Uh Alexander Usyk basically just said Tyson Fury is the toughest fight he's been in between Anthony Joshua and Fury. Now, me thinking from the outside, absolutely. After that last fight, he can definitely go with that one. Me personally, I felt like watching the fight, I was a lot more nervous as far as the fight being closer. Just from what I saw, I haven't really rewatched the fights, but Joshua was a lot tougher in the end when I was thinking of it. But after this last performance Tyson Fury put together, I felt like that one was possibly, just looking on it now, was a lot closer than what Joshua put out in two fights. But when you much put both of the performances together, Joshua did have some rounds where he got away, where Usyk was definitely pulling away in the first fight. But in the second fight, it was a lot closer in my eyes. But he did say something interesting that makes a case for, maybe he's not for sure yet, but that was the answer he went with. So he knows better than I do that Tyson Fury is a tougher opponent than Anthony Joshua. Probably just dealing with the size, him being able to move around, a lot more thinking and everything going on. Joshua was a guy who was in the center of the ring, coming forward, being aggressive. Uh, Usyk didn't really have to put out that much energy to chase Joshua or to move around the ring or to force him in a corner. His strategy was a lot more used to what he was doing with other guys. And it basically probably came together a lot more. From what I seen leading up to the fight, I thought he'll be able to do similar things to what he was doing to Chisora, but Joshua was going to open himself up a lot more, even though Chisora was a guy who was not known as having a good defense, been stopped before and everything else, and he had a lot of losses. So it was looked at a lot different. But in this situation with Fury, he has to move around a lot. He had to worry about the counter punching a lot more this time, the movement, being able to rough Usyk up in certain situations. Just a lot more things. It was a lot more technical than when he was fighting Joshua. So I can definitely see in that situation. But the thing that kind of threw me off, what he said later on, was who wins between those guys. He said he feels like Joshua will win by points. And that's pretty surprising that he has those two answers, and sound like very, very truthful answers. He said if Joshua and Fury was to fight, he would definitely go with Joshua on points, just because from what he's seen Joshua be able to do in the ring, and um, you can tell that he knows that Joshua has a couple of technical issues right now that was probably dealing with him in the fight. And from what I seen, I kind of agreed. I was thinking that the situation as far as Joshua's distance and everything else, like if you watched the Ngannou fight, he was in the perfect position to be able to knock out Ngannou. But in fights like Usyk and the Bois recently, I just felt like his distance and everything when he's throwing his punches, he's not really letting people feel they in his punches. So he's kind of smothering himself, and a lot of times it could be a couple of inches back, couple of inches forward. Just a couple of things he can watch out for when he's in the ring. But he sees those and probably thinks, okay, he won't have those issues against Fury because he'll be able to stay within that range. Has to. It has to be that kind of thinking, because the way those styles match up, Fury's gonna be able to pick some times where he'll be in position where he can get possibly knocked down or hurt. And Usyk kind of see that when he's fighting Fury as well. Just from a strategic standpoint, he's not looking at it from a talent standpoint of, oh, but this guy got more talent than you. Yeah. He's looking at it just from a strategic standpoint as far as what Fury would have issues with going into the fight and everything else. And what he had issues with probably against Usyk, that's what Josh was good at. And that would kind of make sense in my eyes. He's like, okay, the things Joshua is good at, that's kind of going to hurt Fury in certain situations. So I would definitely have to go with him. And then Joshua's a bigger guy than me. He'd probably struggle with that situation. I don't know. It all depends. But those are two good answers though, from what I've seen. But that's all I got. Like and subscribe.